Hello world, Daniel here again for another FDDS blog post. And today we will be talking about the book, How the World Sees You. And this book was very interesting. I read it when I was in Nashville visiting my sister, and it's all about personality types and how people, when they interact with you, see you. And it helps forge communication styles. So, the question for this book is as follows. Thank you, Stephanie. It is, what do you think of the book? What is your personality archetype? And what did you learn about your communication strengths and weaknesses? Basically, like discerning the traits that were described in the book, and then I'm relating them back to personal experiences. So, when I took the quiz, I wasn't really expecting to be in the passion category, even though everyone tells me that I'm dramatic, as you could tell by the umbrella. That was on purpose. But when I looked into what the intrigue was, it wasn't as overtly dramatic. One of the cool things about the intrigue, according to the book, and the author, Sally Hogshead, she talks about how the intrigue is the most uncommon form of an archetype, which is pretty cool, you know, there aren't that many of us. And it's like an uncommon bringing of traits. You bring the rare ability to switch between an analytical view and then emotional attachment and connection. And when I immediately read that sentence, I was like, finally, there's something that connects to who I am and what kind of describes me best, because I feel like with these tests, they can be hit or miss. Like the Myers-Briggs, I always feel like I'm changing and I'm not really sure if what I'm reading is true. But when I read Sally's critique of the intrigue, it definitely related a lot to me. According to Sally, the intrigue is very difficult to kind of pinpoint how they'll respond in a situation, and they're very multi-layered people, which is pretty cool. One of the main things that she talks about is how we're very situational, meaning in one setting we can be very energetic and very warm and welcoming, but then in the next second, or even the next day or next hour, our mood will change and we might take that seat back. So it's kind of like playing the like fun extrovert, but then really like sitting back and being more quiet and selective with what you say. And I definitely think that's me. When I'm feeling comfortable with saying something, I'll definitely say it, but sometimes people can get thrown off when I decide to sit back and to let other people talk because I'm still collecting my thoughts. I definitely think that's both a strength and a weakness, because when you're in a setting like for instance my internship back this past summer, one of the weaknesses my supervisor told me I had was that I didn't speak up enough. And as the intrigue, I was like, well, I don't really understand where you're coming from. Like, I'm engaged, I'm definitely engaged, it's just I like to sit back in some moments. And it definitely played a part in me being nervous, like that's normal, but I think sometimes intrigues can get lost because we're too wrapped up in what we're trying to say and we can't make split-second decisions, as Sally describes. She describes the top 5 adjectives as being discerning, perceptive, considerate, selective, and warm and cool being one. So with the discerning, we're definitely very in tune with what's going on at all times, which I think is true. When I go new places, I'm always curious as to like how people are acting, what's the sociology behind the location, why are people doing the things that they're doing, and then taking that step back or initiating a conversation about it, which I feel like I did a lot with my leadership on the alternative break trip that I did in Cape Town 2 weeks ago. We're also perceptive, but we're discreet about our perceptions. We know about the issues that are developing in a situation, but we grasp the policies and we're not very quick to just talk about these policies. We really like to delve into them and understand them before we speak about them. We're also considerate. I don't have like word vomit ever when I'm in a new location, or if I'm very perceptive as to the emotions or the vibe of a location. So if I'm in the leadership position like I was in Cape Town, I will be definitely vocal, I'll be warm, I'll be caring about people. But if I'm the participant in a situation, I definitely set back and I try to let other people speak first, just because it takes me a while to get things going. We're also cool-headed. I know some people might not believe that, but with me, not a lot phases me. I know, like, in my past when traumatic or dramatic things would happen to me or to, like, my family, for instance, I'm always the person who sorts them out. So people sometimes come to me and they ask me for advice, or they let me talk with them just to see how things are going. We're selective, which is definitely true. I'm never sold on something immediately. As you could probably tell through the FDDS, like, old meeting sophomore year, when someone would ask me a question or want me to respond within like a minute, I can't do it, especially if I'm not completely informed about what the initiative is. I can't really make a sound decision because you can't really weigh the pros and the cons. And then this whole dichotomy of the warm and the cool, it's very true. I think it's developed as I've become more comfortable with myself. With my public persona, I'm definitely warmer. In comfortable situations, definitely, and when it's time to perform, I will perform at my best. But then, with other situations, as time progresses, I think people realize that I'm still warm, but it takes me a second to fully develop my thoughts, and sometimes I'm very cool, and I like to be in the back, and I like to listen. But it kind of can get complicated because people think that they know you, but they really don't. They put you in one pigeonhole, like, oh, he's the quiet person, but then they see me, like public speaking, for example, which I think I'm really good at, and then they're surprised. So in my public speaking class, we definitely talked about like the different types of speakers, and I'm definitely the type of speaker that would prefer to talk in front of like hundreds or thousands, but I get very uncomfortable in a room with like 100 people and I'm supposed to just talk to them all. Like, that just makes me very, very nervous. And then, how do you believe your communication style will impact your ability to challenge the unfair, unjust, and uncivil treatment of individuals? I think the outbreak tested that. As the trip leader, I would have to introduce my group to different marginalized groups, and I think part of the great thing about the Intrigue is that we use our passion to develop relationships. So when I was the leader, I would always try to make sure people were comfortable. I was always warm, and I never tried to overshadow their existence in the space. In terms of my weakness in that form, sometimes the unjust things that happen to people kind of irritates me, and then instead of being as vocal and showing my sympathy or my compassion or empathy to the situation, I kind of zone out too much and start thinking about like, what can we do, and this is a systemic issue and it can't be solved. Well, my camera turned off, but thank you all for watching this. I really enjoyed the book, and it's been a fun ride, so thank you all, and bye.